This is the K-Pop Gas, guys, and today we're bringing you back another Hit Rewind special. We are covering the year for 2014.
We're going to discuss our favorite moments from that year and then debate which song remains the most iconic song for 2014, as seen by 2024.
Yes, but disclaimer, of course, this is a really big year, guys. We can't get to everything. There's inevitably going to be some songs and moments that we miss out. So, of course, we want you guys to let us know what we missed in the comments below.
Before we dive in, we are joined by an iconic, legendary, illustrious guest and friend of the K-Pop cast. It is Shannon from AMA K-Pop.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. I love talking about K-pop history. It's my favorite thing in the world. So I'm honored that you asked me to join you.
Welcome back to the show, Shannon.
Thank you.
Shannon has been in the game for so many years. It's so great to have you back on and just get to travel down memory lane with you. So thanks for being with us. I'm your host, Stephanie.
I'm your PD name, Michaela.
And I'm Shannon.
And we are going to go through some of the overall trends and some of our favorite moments in the year 2014 for this special Rewind episode. So, some of the trends that we saw in 2014 in K-pop were, first of all, a focus starting to shift towards the Chinese market.
Yes.
Right. So Super Junior debuted their Chinese unit. Unique debuted with Chinese members. GOT7 debuted with 2 members of Chinese descent. We do have to recognize that first off was EXO-M, M for Mandarin, Mandopop, that came out in earlier than 2014. So they kind of paved the way for this. But they opened this door for these other groups to shift towards the Chinese market. One question we had as we were researching was, why didn't the girl groups also at this time, debut with Chinese members and Chinese songs? And why was this mostly a boy group phenomenon? It's still kind of an open question, but I wonder if y'all on the show have any ideas on that?
I might have an answer to that. It's kind of hard because, if you look there again, 2014 is another year where we reach this point in K-pop where we have hundreds of groups debuting every year. And at this time, we saw, at least with the girl groups that were debuting, the members were still shifting towards the Japanese market. We're still mostly Korean members. And also, this was the era where the boys were really dominating. So maybe there was, Chinese girls that were debuting, but they were in groups that, didn't last long or, didn't make enough of an impact to make it onto the, lists of, databases of K-pop groups that debuted that year because they were just maybe there for a week.
Ouch. Yep, yeah. The flash in the pan groups.
Yeah,
that might be true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the boys definitely, because again, you've got the year 2013, EXO really just having this huge hit with Udorong and breaking big in all over Asia, but specifically China. And then this next year we see the big 3 especially kind of making this pivot towards the Chinese market with YG having their first ever YG family concert in Beijing that year. There were a lot of big moves even in smaller groups. We had the acting group, Surprise, their web drama that year. The second season was set in China specifically. So we see it throughout the industry that the Chinese market is a big focus in 2014.
That's all fascinating. I have nothing to add because I honestly had never even noticed that pattern before. That is very interesting.
Yeah, and then if you think about it in the bigger scope, this is again 2 years after Gangnam Style. So this is again this whole industry of like seeing what K-pop can do internationally now that we've got more eyes on it, especially people who are seeing the profitability of, K-pop.
Big money in the Chinese market for sure. And this just came to mind right now, coming back to 2024, 2023. You know how that competition show Boys Planet had like the half and half competition between Korean contestants and non-Korean contestants, and who ended up being like the number one contestant was a Chinese guy, right?
Yeah, Zhang Hao.
Yeah, Zhang Hao.
Yeah.
Right. So the seeds were planted way back in 2014 for Chinese K-pop stars to not only be like an afterthought or included last, but to actually be winning and be celebrated within K-pop. It all started 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. My EXO bias is Lay. So I've always
Right.
been team Chinese members.
Yes, Chinese member appreciation. We should have an episode on that.
Yeah, Mnet was also a really big company that made a lot of like moves in China, like the Mama Awards. Their big awards on that network was in China for the second time. The first year was in 2013, but the fact that they went back another year really kind of like made it a point that they're really trying to make moves in the country, especially like make the Mama Awards more global. But like Mnet as a whole really had a lot of really heavy hitters this year too, because switching gears to kind of like what other big trends that we saw in the industry, Show Me the Money season 3 happened in 2014, guys. And this is the year where Bobby is making waves on this show and breaking all the barriers for idol rappers in the industry.
Yeah, isn't that the year that Show Me the Money just like took off and became really
Yes.
popular?
Yes.
Oh,
And
man.
because of Bobby, because of these,
Yeah.
the talent that he showed and for the Korean public, in spite of being an idol, that he could still be such an amazing artist, and against all of these guys who were like making it in the underground scene. And this show really bringing that underground scene to the forefront in K-pop culture.
Yeah, we really start to see a Korean hip hop genre take off that is somewhere in between underground and idol rap or K-pop, right? So we start to see the seeds planted once again in these shows really start to take off in the following years. And speaking of which, we were just talking about those like singing competition shows, the American Idol-esque. I call them the shows where like normal people can sing, right? Not trainees, not like child stars necessarily. I mean, some of them snuck in, but these shows where apparently, presumably normal people could compete. We had the first few rounds of those shows in like 2012, 2013, and now the winners of those shows that got recruited to music labels, those artists are now having their debuts. I'm talking about Akdong Musician. I'm talking about Park Jimin, Lee Michelle. All of y'all remember the half black, half Korean mixed singer who just blew us all away with her just, honey vocals. She debuted. Like, when would she get a chance? So this was a really magical year for seeing folks who look different and come from different backgrounds start to, make space for themselves in the K-pop industry. And that, I think, takes us into another kind of show that we wanted to talk about. Now we're shifting gears into our favorite moments, our personal favorite moments. And I know that one of us wanted to share about a reality show obsession that started in 2014.
Yeah, so this is me. This is Shannon's thing.
Yep.
And listeners of my show know how important the show We Got Married was to my being a K-pop fan in the first place.
Same.
This is a show, if you are unfamiliar, where idols and actors and other various Korean celebrities would be paired up in virtual marriages, and they would live in a house, and I'm doing air quotes if you can't see me, because they would, film in a house on the weekend. They didn't like actually live together, but they would like pretend to be married and do stuff that married people do and go on dates and do laundry and like whatever. And it was a very, very wholesome show, and it was a huge part of my life. And in 2014 specifically, Woo Young from 2PM was married to an actress named Park Se-young. And I can't say too much without completely doxing myself, but I was a huge person in the community for people who liked this couple. I will just say that much. Please don't go try to find me, but it was a very big part of my life to create content around these episodes, because I loved it so much. And the show would air on Saturdays, but the episodes wouldn't come out till Monday, because this was an era where subtitling was done very meticulously. And a lot of subtitlers would even try to match the English subtitles to the font of the on-screen text. And it was like, oh, it was so good. And you had to wait for it, but it was so good. And I loved We Got Married. It ended, I think, early 2015. So like this was kind of the end of the golden age of We Got Married, but it was so important to me. Also a show that aired in 2014 was Roommate. This was a great show. It had 2 seasons, idols and actors. Some idols included like Chanyeol from EXO, Jackson Wang, Sunny from Girls' Generation, Park Bom, like Nana from After School, and actors. And they actually lived in a house, like real world style. And it was also so wholesome and so fun. And you got to like really see a side of these people, and because they still had to go to work, like there was a lot of like, I have a schedule, bye, like they were still doing their lives, but they were also living in this house and learning from each other, because there was a lot of different ages and experiences. And I remember one episode so particularly where all the girls were having a little like kiki sleepover in their room and they were talking about the best movie theaters to go on secret dates, because they're like in weird parts of town that like people don't go to. And it was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm seeing things I shouldn't. Like, this is so great. I loved Roommate. It was such a good show.
Oh my gosh.
Other just like quick list other ones. There was a show called Real Men, where idols, foreign idols who hadn't gone to the military did military boot camp, and they had a girl season. There was a show called Coolest Kids on the Block was the English title. The Korean title is Our Neighborhood Sports and Education. But there would be like a 4 or 6 week run of like tennis, soccer, basketball. And then it would just be like idols and actors like playing sports. And I just was watching so much reality content. And I think it's something that someone who may have gotten into K-pop in the last couple years couldn't even fathom, because everything has really moved to a very specific by the group thing. Like most idol groups have a YouTube channel, have a show, comes out every week, and they are the only guests, like, and that's what their fans watch. But back in these days, everyone went on these TV shows, and it's something I mourn, because it was so conducive to finding new groups and like finding new idols to love, because you would watch like, oh, my bias is going to be on, the special guest on Roommate this week. And then, oh, Jackson's so funny, and now I'm going to listen to GOT7's music. Like it really helped bring you to the world of K-pop. Like everything was also intermeshed, and like that just isn't the case anymore. And I mourn it a little bit, because it was so great. Sorry, I just like talked so much.
I remember that.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point, Shannon. Like I didn't even think about that. Like, because you and me, we both kind of had that similar experience where while I was listening to K-pop prior, this was the year that I really kind of did my deep dive and kind of like finding out more about the industry and more about Hallyu. And it was those shows like Roommate, like those reality shows where you get to see these, artists and celebrities from different kind of walks of the industry being forced to interact with each other and seeing kind of like where you learn those culture, what that means like culturally for these different people to be interacting, and like what it means for, you know, the especially idols, especially for their careers. Because I also remember watching Roommate and being like, why isn't Chanyeol on the show? Oh, it's because he was touring this year.
Busy.
Yeah.
He was gone, but he was there a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, we often lament on the show that like Mama Awards aren't the same anymore without the collaborations, without the collab stage, right? And that was, I mean, we're probably going to talk about it later, but these years, like the early 2010s, are like a golden era in collab stage territory. And that's the same thing you were talking about, Shannon. We get to see not just the curated, contained single group and like what they've rehearsed, but something new, something emergent, some synergy between different entertainers and human beings as well. So thank you so much for highlighting that.
Yeah,
Sure.
although the inverse of that this year, I don't think we can talk about Mnet reality shows or 2014 without mentioning the fact that this was the year that BTS released American Hustle Life.
Yep.
And how
Okay.
important that was
Loved that.
for people discovering BTS, and also
True.
BTS kind of making their first kind of little steps of, yeah, we're doing hip hop, but we're also trying to reconnect with what hip hop actually is, and give respect to that. And so I think, especially for me, you know, coming into this year, not really knowing much about BTS, like that show was really important for me to be like, okay, I can see who all of these guys are individually and like what they bring to the team and why they're here, basically.
Yeah, loved that show. They deserve their own show. Absolutely. Yeah, and so we're still going through some of our personal favorite moments here. Shannon, you had a couple other ones that you remember.
Speaking of bringing people together, so I know that this was a very scandal-ridden year, and we will be talking about that later. But there was a particular dating scandal week that I will never forget for my entire life, which was like two very high-profile couples were outed in the exact same week, and the chaos was indescribable. The first one was that paparazzi caught Girls' Generation Taeyeon and Baekhyun from EXO on a little sneaky little car date, canoodling in a car in a parking lot. And the EXO fandom was already in tatters. Again, we'll get into that later.
Yep.
But this did not help. It was so chaotic. There was even a point where poor sweet Taeyeon was at the airport and ran up to the fans in hysterical tears and begged them to forgive her. Like, it was so chaotic and crazy. And then everyone was digging into their Instagrams and finding their lovestagrams and their little sneaky messages to each other. And I was living, like, I know that they were having a bad time, but I'm so sorry. Everyone who listens to my show knows I love a dating scandal. I just love it because I just love proof that idols have real lives. Like, I know that it always is, it affects them differently when it is revealed, but I just take comfort in knowing it. So that happened. And then literally in the same week, this one is less fun to reflect on considering how all things went, but it was such a crazy scandal at the time, which was that Cheja from Dynamic Duo, his wallet was either lost or stolen by possibly a sasang, but his wallet was in someone else's hands and it had pictures of him and the maknae of, or is she not the maknae? She's the second youngest. But the nation's little sister, Sully from FX, in little photo booth pictures and love notes from each other. And like, oh my God, this was the craziest thing that had ever happened. And it did, unfortunately, completely ruin FX's red light promotions, which were going to be awesome. The teaser images, I feel like my Tumblr world exploded the day that the red light teasers came out, we were all so excited. And I'm pretty sure that Sully only did one, maybe two, but I think it was only one stage of Red Light. But the backlash was so bad, she was never seen with FX ever again.
Yep.
It was all so crazy, but it was the same week. And like when I noticed, like, oh man, it was just, there was so much going on this year. And again, we'll talk about it, but the scandals were so relentless in 2014. And I've heard people talking on TikTok about 2024, like, oh, when will the scandals cease? And it's like, history is only repeating itself because we've done this before.
Exactly. This is not new.
Yeah. Anything to say about that before I move on? No. Okay.
No, you're just like, you're bringing me back to when I used to spend so much time on like Soompi.com, refreshing the page, refreshing the thread in the discussion forum just to know what's the latest update, where the latest pictures, because we're relying, like there weren't as many like news outlets that publish in English about this stuff. So we're waiting a lot of the times for Korean Americans online on the forum to translate what's going on. And some stuff is lost in translation and who's the source of truth. And so that just added more chaos on the state side. Oh man!
Thank you
what a time to be
everybody
alive.
who was translating at that time.
Yes,
Especially,
yeah,
I don't know about you,
people.
Stephanie and Shannon, but my Korean was non-existent.
Yeah, no, I think I could read Hangul at the time, but that was about as far as I could get.
I think my Korean was probably pretty good at that point. I had taken Korean classes in grad school. I had traveled to Korea a bunch of times, and I was working at Viki at this time, like helping to translate. So
yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Now it's not
I
as
salute
good,
you for that.
Oh man.
But Stephanie, do we want to get into this list of scandals now?
Sure. Might as well. We just like scratched the surface here. But I'm here to refresh our memories on some of the other huge gargantuan scandals of 2014. First of all, who remembers Kim Hyun-jung? Kim Hyun-jung for I know.
Big sigh.
We were rooting for you.
We were all rooting
Such
for
a
you.
beautiful man.
And,
Boys Over Flowers fame. A celebrated talent and idol, was found to have violently abused his girlfriend and was swiftly investigated and canceled. Another scandal was Park Bom from 21 being found in possession of illegal drugs. So, like, these are huge names at the time who hadn't had any kind of scandal leading up to this, but it just rocked the entire industry, rocked the group, rocked 21. I think they probably paused some promotions around that time too. And then possibly the biggest scandal of all of 2014, Sonyashide, Girls' Generation, Jessica was fired or kicked out from the group.
A mystery that plagues us to this day. People will, like, the truth has never been revealed. I did read both of her books.
Yeah, right.
I believe I am team they were ghost written. I don't believe she wrote those books, but whatever.
Sure.
And
What did you find out?
In the sequel, we did the first one on our show. We did a book club for it. But in the sequel, the Jessica character does get, like, all of the other girls rally around to, like, have her removed because she's trying to start a fashion line with her rich boyfriend, which like was kind of happening in real life. So
Yeah.
according to Jessica's book, that's what happened. But I do remember at this time there was so much infighting and speculation about what really happened. Like, was she pushed out by the others? Did she quit? did some executive make the decision? Like, I don't know. But the thing that's so weird about this that makes the mystery more mysterious to me is the Catch Me If You Can music video.
Right.
There in the music video, it's 8 members, but it was surfaced that there is a 9-member version of this music video and it looks exactly the same. So like,
I wonder.
yeah, I don't know. It was a wild time though.
Jessica, if you're listening to this, you want to come on the show and,
Speak
tell
your
all.
truth.
Speak your truth. We are here for it. We're fans of you. And hey, come on down. 10 years later. I mean, Jessica's like living her best life now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, she's good.
She released a really bomb album, actually, I think in Korea last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
she's good. She's thriving. But this did come up, Stephanie, when we were talking about like the fact that, especially with Jessica's scandal, how this kind of signified a moment, especially for these second generation girl groups that have been
Yes.
here at least maybe 4 or even 7 years in the game.
7 years.
That are now kind of falling from grace, not necessarily at the peak that they were. And especially like with Park Bom, I feel like her situation really was like that pinpoint moment, especially when it comes to the Korean public's view of YG as a whole and kind of the beginning of the descent of YG as a company.
Yes. Yeah. It started to come out how YG treats the women, the female idols. And, good riddance on that. And then finally, BAP, some of our faves on the show, BAP filed lawsuit in 2014 against TS Entertainment for cruelty, slave contracts, shady business dealings, unfair profit distribution. The group filed lawsuit against their label. And we highlight them here because 10 years later, 2024, we finally get some kind of closure. We see the group coming back together. They release a song together and a documentary. So if you want to, breathe a sigh of relief and feel some grief, some tears as well about, what ball got rolling in 2014, yeah, you can check that out. I don't know if Michaela, you wanted to add more.
We get a new light stick, guys. We have a new BAP light stick in our year of 2024. So this is we are so happy, all the babies this year, to see what they've been doing and so thankful that they've been so vulnerable, especially in the documentary about what it's really been like for them the past decade after this big lawsuit against TS Entertainment in 2014.
Hey, there is life after scandal. You can come back. It might take 10 years. But everybody we've mentioned here has come back. Even maybe ones we don't want to come back. But hey, it's possible. And that's part of the K-pop journey. K-pop is long. So some other memorable moments. Did you want to jump in here, Michaela?
Let's start with the boys. Let's go.
The second gen guys.
Yeah, we'll, because, again, talking about like the girls, the second gen girls aren't really doing too hot this year, but the second gen boys, however, the men actually now in this age of their career have proven themselves to either come back from the military or just kind of come back in general, sexy, or in other cases, sexier. Because this is the year of Rain's 30 Sexy. This is the year You Kiss release Kiburijima, Quit Playing. Like, we're seeing these second gen boys become men, especially in this year.
Post-military glow up is real. Caveat that we have our critiques of the military draft system. But as overseas fans, we do
But
love
if they don't come back
tradition.
real well fed,
don't they?
know?
Pleasantly. All right. Yes. Oh my gosh. I remember when 30 Sexy came out because Rain was my introduction into K-pop. Rain was my very first. He was my ultimate bias. And when he went away, I was so sad. But then he came back even sexier, which I didn't think was possible. And he just showed. Yeah.
Still so incredible. Like,
oh yeah.
It's a great song.
Isn't it? Thank
Great
you. Thank
song.
you. People make fun of me, but it's
No.
like legit.
It's so good. The intro, dirty, sexy, dirty. Like,
dirty.
come on.
Bwomp, bwomp, bwomp,
The
bwomp,
whole
bwomp.
thing's like falsetto. It's incredible. Get out.
Yes. Ow, ow.
Now he's 40 sexy, right? He's in his 40s.
Yeah.
Guess so. Yeah, I'm like, where's the 40 sexy ring?
I
Come on.
know.
Yeah, he let that one go by, huh? Yeah. But the year's not over yet. I don't know.
Yeah. He's got a little time. Sneak it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess there were some good moments for girls, I think, this year that we have to highlight. So Joe did mention that Girls' Day had a huge hit with something. And especially in the fact that it was covered by so many boy groups that year.
Yes. Boys in wigs doing
Oh my
something
gosh.
with the little feathers on their hands. What a moment.
That was a moment. Everybody was covering that song.
And then Michael D from Slack also pointed out that EXID's Honey this year, this is the year that the up and down We Are a Fan Cam blows up.
The fan cam.
The fan
The
cam.
ultimate fan cam, because not only is it the fan cam that completely changes the trajectory for EXID, it also kind of changes the trajectory of fan cam culture in
Yes.
K-pop, in the sense of like it used to be something that was kind of like seedy, third party, like something that fans were trying to get in, but now you see the industry kind of like take it over and it become like a part of like their marketing and their comebacks officially.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun, not so fun fact is like during my time working at YouTube in Trust and Safety, we had to design a policy about fan cams and like what signals you should look for to determine if this is a like neutral fan cam or a sexual pornographic intent fan cam. And so we would look for example, like how much of the frame is the butt taking up? What is the tilt of the camera? What are they trying to see? And before this fan cam came out, we weren't really looking for it. We weren't checking for it like that. But we did have to come up with guidelines and like train all the thousands of moderators with how to tell. You know it when you see it, right?
It's so funny hearing you say that and then also looking at the gifs of the Honey fan cam, and I'm like, what does this fall on? I wonder.
I think we let that one stay up, but maybe slightly age restricted. Like we say, it's like
Yeah.
not for kids,
Because she is.
but we don't take it down.
Oh, the hips are everywhere
Woo!
over the frame.
The
in this
hips. I mean, that's the choreo too. Yeah. But that's the magic of it. That one like that could take off. That's not even necessarily trying to be like the cameraman is not even necessarily trying to sexualize it. It's just her It's her raw performance going viral. Woo. All right, let's scroll down so I'm not like looking at this gyrating pelvis anymore.
Scroll past the gifs.
Oh my gosh.
Scroll
Yes.
past the up and down. To that point, kind of wrapping up the notable moments section, Gangnam Style at this year surpasses 2.15 billion views and forces YouTube to upgrade their 64-bit integer counter thingy. So
Yes.
there's a literal shift in
I remember.
YouTube in this year in how they
Yep.
they quantify views.
We needed to
Yeah.
account for it.
The views, this is, again, I hope this isn't too much of an aside and you can cut it if it is.
No.
But something that I try to impress on my listeners a lot, like newer K-pop listeners, is that like, you know, view counts on a music video has become like part of the culture. They're like streaming and you got to get the music video counts up. Like in 2014, there was still a ton of groups that did not have official YouTube channels and music videos were uploaded by fans and they would get taken down or like put up under different names. And they're like,
Yep.
so the view count of music videos from this time, like, isn't as accurate because like companies hadn't quite latched on to like what YouTube could and would continue to be. And that's just like an interesting thing to think about at how far we've come 10 years later. That, yeah, some YouTube music videos were not official at all.
That's a good reminder that, you know, the YouTube view counts is such a huge thing now. But yeah, look, if you try to go back and look for music videos from that time, you might not find them on an official channel, or you might find the music video, but it's like uploaded in 2021. It's like, wait a minute, that's from 2014. But like, what happened? Why don't I have the views going back to then? Because they did not have their stuff together, like you said. But now it's time to go through some of the hottest debuts of 2014, which were put on YouTube at some point. Yes. Number one, first of all, we have to give it to one of our favorite magnes in all of K-pop. Taemin, Taemin came out with Danger. Woo! I already just like hear it in my head. We're going to go through these pretty fast, but like if you have like a woo reaction or like, yeah, that's my jam, like just jump in.
Gun guitar.
Yeah. Yes. Got 7 girls, girls, girls.
Oh, that dance.
Shannon's doing the dance. Yes. And then Akmu with 200%.
Yeah, our first co-ed debut in a long time, even though they're siblings, it still counts.
So cute. Love this song to this day. Unique, Falling in Love. Fun fact, Woods came out of this group.
And also actor Wang Yibo.
Wang Yibo.
Yeah.
I used to love this song. I put this on repeat, y'all. Then Winner with Gongae Empty. I had forgotten that was their debut song. Right. That Winner did not come out with like a tropical house. It came out with like a slow song. I had forgotten that.
It was a big deal. I mean, they had already kind of showed basically their musical talent and like that genre with the survival show that they were on. So it was interesting that they kind of like took a big old step back and were able to just like vibe.
Just vibe. Yeah. And then some of the smaller label groups that debuted were Surprise, B.I.G., High 4, Hot Shot, shout out to Hot Shot, JJCC, La Boom, Lip Service, I haven't heard of them, Lovelies, Madtown, a Mamamoo debuted that year.
That would be my vote
Mamamoo.
For debut of the year. They were so interesting. I'm sure people who like have not gone back in Mamamoo's catalog would be shocked at like their debut concept, but like it was like vintage jazz piano girls in little mod dresses, and it was so unique and so great, and they were such good singers, and I was obsessed. I was like, this is great.
Amazing.
More genre K-pop. I love it.
Yes. And then a little known group known as Minx at the time would later become Dreamcatcher. They debuted in 2014. They just performed in Oakland like 2 nights ago. I drove past and saw everybody in line. I was like, hey, they've been at it for 10 years, y'all. Dreamcatcher, shout out. They talk about somebody like making their own lane.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then with these debuts that we see this year, especially with the girl groups, as far as like girl groups that are still active, or at least active in the way that we know them today, Mamamoo and Red Velvet are really kind of the only two of the hundreds that debuted that year that really kind of have been able to make it these past decade. And I want to take a pause.
Wait a minute. Why is Red Velvet not on this list?
Because I was supposed to talk about her earlier.
Okay.
I missed her. But
I was like, where are they at? Okay, they're going to get their own section.
Red Velvet is the debut, the girl debut of the year. They, are kind of like this really big moment in the fact that they kind of really start the third generation of girl groups, really. Like, especially when we think of, at the time, the big 3 companies debuting girl groups, because they're the first girl group after FX. They're the first group. They were EXO's little sister group. And
then with Jessica leaving Girls' Generation, they're like the last hope of SM, right?
Yeah. And then with them, comes the legacy of like Twice and Blackpink after them from the other labels. But they are really the beginning of what we know as like third generation girl groups. And I feel like they don't get enough credit for that.
That's very interesting. I've never thought of it that way. And I think it's just because age-wise, I think of Red Velvet as peers of Shiny, but like obviously career-wise, like a lot of years in between there. And I always draw my third gen line at Blackpink, but like you make a really good case. And I'm gonna have to think about that more.
Oh my gosh, we always talk about this stuff on the show. What's the line between fourth and fifth generation?
It's just
like, let's get into it. Yeah. And before we transition over to talking about our favorite songs, we did want to take a moment and recognize some of the like less joyous events from the year 2014. Some tragedies from the year included that there was a vehicle accident where members of group Ladies Code were passengers, and Eunbi and Rise, or is it Rise or
Rise?
Rise, sorry. Yeah, Eunbi and Rise passed away. During a 4-minute performance, 25 people passed away when a grate collapsed during that concert. Super Junior, Ituk, his father turned out to take the life of his grandparents and commit suicide. So just like some dark stuff happening in that year. And maybe the biggest tragedy of all was the Sewol ferry sinking with, I forget just how many people, but it was maybe, was it hundreds? I should
I
look
think
that
it
up.
was
Okay, so
hundreds.
Of young high school
with
students.
hundreds of high school students. And that, that was not only a national, but a global tragedy that, everybody's eyes were on it, wondering how that happened. And there was a lot of pointing fingers, but really just grief. So while, of course, there were things to celebrate in 2014, like we do have to bring in like the wholeness of the K-pop fan experience is including stuff like this.
I think that the Ladies Code accident started a really important conversation about the safety of idols, because there had been some pretty bad accidents in the years before. Super Junior had a very famous one. There were some first gen car accidents that were really bad. But this one where these like two young girls in their prime like died, everyone was asking like, why do idols have a schedule in Busan and in Seoul the same day? Like, why are managers having to drive 90 miles an hour with people in the back who are sleeping and not wearing seatbelts? And there was like a lot of talk about that. And I could be wrong, but I feel like I haven't heard tell of like bad car accidents like since then. And I'd like to believe that possibly something changed as a result of that. But it was very, very sad. And everybody was just feeling, I don't know, it was such a tragedy, and it was preventable. And that, and then similar conversations happened with the Sewol thing of like, is safe, like why we need to do more to make people safe. And so, it was a tough year in the comment sections for that stuff as well.
Oof. Indeed. Yeah. Thanks for highlighting that there were these tragedies, and then the impact is, maybe in the following years, we have not heard as many incidents like this take place because changes were made. I agree.
You can only hope.
We can only hope.
Mm-hmm. Idols to unionize.
Yeah, I know.
That's next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's coming.
I mean, if anything, a decade later, with how New Jeans has been making moves on their own, I feel like, who knows, maybe this might be the first generation to actually make it a thing.
Maybe. Stay tuned for our year-end episode where we might make our predictions for what's coming next. Maybe idols will band together. All right, so that wraps it up for the overall trends and some of our favorite moments in 2014. Now it's time for my favorite section, which is our personal favorite songs. In other words, songs that may not have had the most impact or legacy, but allow us to spotlight a special nostalgic favorite before we debate the best.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, the floor is yours, please. What is your favorite song pick from the year?
All right, y'all. So I know that my man crush has been in trouble, been in the doghouse. He's been disappointing us in certain ways, but his voice, his talent could not be denied. And especially his debut album in 2014, Crush on You, is still to this day a no skip album. Michaela pressured me, twisted my arm to pick one song
Yes.
from the album.
Song.
And so I had a hard time with it. I was like, gosh, should I highlight this one? Maybe people don't know this one, but I was like, you know what? Which one sparks the most joy for me? And it is A Little Bit featuring Lydia Pake. I think this might be the first song on the album. It has slow, sexy body rolling R&B and then picks up the tempo at the end. And it is like timeless almost. Every time it comes on, I grin so wide. I'm body rolling like I am right now. And this also gives me a chance to talk about someone newer K-pop fans might not know about. The feature, the vocalist, Lydia Pake.
Yeah, I was
if you
gonna
don't
say,
know her.
Stephanie, what happened to Lydia?
What happened? Yeah, we were like, what happened to her anyway? So I'm guessing that a lot of listeners like don't even know who she is. So like, but before we get into where she's at now, like if you don't know her, she's been one of those all-rounder gems, mainly behind the scenes at YG. And like, if we rewind to those early 2010s, like this is a person who I'll just call it right here. She was living the LA Korean American dream life in the early 2010s. She sang on tracks with G-Dragon. She wrote songs for 2NE1 and Blackpink. She was a hip hop dancer with Quest Crew. Do y'all remember America's Best Dance Crew? Like the Korean American crew from LA that like killed it. Oh my gosh, Lydia was and is, you know, still involved in the K-pop industry, composing songs, more in the background. Like if you look at her Instagram, she's hobnobbing, she's catching up all the time with her K-pop idol friends. And I'm just like so happy for her. What a talent. She has now settled down more. She has a beautiful family, couple of kids running around. But yeah, just what a gem. That is my personal favorite. Go back and listen.
Yeah.
Love
Okay.
it.
Okay, Shannon, what are your personal favorites?
Okay, I have way too many. I could literally name like 75 songs because this year
Yep.
was incredible for music, but like really quick. And I'll make a case for my favorite later, but just a quick 2 p.m. Go Crazy was an incredible moment. AOA Like a Cat is a song that I still listen to all the time. The A-Pink Mr. Chu comeback was perfect to me. TVXQ Spellbound is, oh my God, the stages. Girls' Generation Mr. Mister, love that song. Kara with new members, Mamma Mia, love that song. Love that song. And Block B, Her is, I think, Block B's greatest song. Watching people do that dance all year, like, I love that song. Anytime it comes on, I blast it so hard. And I'm going to stop myself for time, but I could seriously keep going forever this year. Had so much good music, but there's just a couple in case you haven't heard them. Listen to them.
Yes, ditto for everything. The only thing I will add is just like two picks. Top Dog came back with Ario, That Deer, and like it was one of those cool like, you know, mixes of, you know, traditional Korean culture, but like bringing in like hip hop to it, which I thought was really cool at the time. And then I have to give it up to Big Byung. Y'all remember Big Byung? That was that was the like the Yeonung, the variety show project group of a combination of Jackson from GOT7.
Oh yeah.
And Hyuk from VIX. and there was one other member. Oh my god, I messed it up. But anyway, they that like those those fun
silly.
project collaborations
Yes.
that are just
Yeah.
like it's not taken too seriously or just for fun. We're like one of my favorites. So Big Byung debut from like 2014 was probably my favorite song. The Stress.
Dope. And so leading into our debate about the number one song, we wanted to start with notable mentions because we're already at an hour at this point.
Although still
we
doing
want
better
to
from last year.
honor-
It was like an hour and a half.
Yo, we're trying. There's just so much to talk about. Notable mentions include BTS Danger. Thank you to Artemis Arrows for highlighting this. Also, 21 Come Back Home. Their second and final album, Crush, included Come Back Home and Missing You. So good. Psy came out with Hangover featuring Snoop Dogg. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And my personal favorite on this list, GD and Taeyang. I am a good boy. Oh, timeless classic. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That one almost made, shook made it on the list. Right?
Shook the award shows, shook me and all my
Shook
friends in
me.
high school because we
My
tried
mom
to
loves
learn this
this
dance.
song. Oh my gosh, so much swag. Everything GD does. Amazing. All right. So that's it for our personal favorites. Now it's time to discuss the moment you've all been waiting for. Which 2014 song forever changed the world of K-pop? We are starting off with Shannon's pick.
Okay. So this was obviously the hardest question ever. I don't even want to do this because there was too much good music. It seems crazy to pick one. And the choice I was leaning on for a while was Hyuna's Red. Because whatever you think of Hyuna in 2024, in 2014, she was still that girl.
It girl.
And this comeback was amazing. Her hair was black, her lips were red. The dance was crazy. I tried to do it once and my legs didn't work the next day from that drop squat that immediately stands back up. Oh, it's so
Sexy.
hard. But this song was so good and I loved it. And so I was going to fight for that one, but then I think that the choice, if I have to fight for one, I will make it Sistar's Touch My Body. This is also a timeless classic. Sistar was such a gift to the world of K-pop. Gone too soon, but they ended it when they were ready and good for them. But they were so impactful and they made a type of sexy K-pop that I think simply doesn't exist anymore. It's like fallen out of trend and that's fine, but I miss it a lot. And this song was so summer. Their little flower booty shorts that were so cute. The set with the pool inside. The fact
They're
that
the Queens of Summer.
Queens of Summer. The fact that the choreography to this included a move that is similar to a dog peeing on a tree, and yet it was still so cute and fun, and everybody knew it. And they spank each other in a line. It's so fun. Nobody makes things like this anymore. And Hyolin's vocals are incredible. Bora's little rap in the middle is one of my favorite, little cheeky girly raps. I just love this song. And if I have to make a case for anything, that's what I'm gonna do.
Touch my body, 우린 조금씩 다르게. Everybody, 하늘보다 높이. 지금의 리듬이 좋아, 뜨거운 태양 아래 너와 나. Baby so good, 지금 기분은 paradise. Baby so nice, 두말의 summer night. 조금씩 one step, two step, every day 너와 나. Touch my body, touch my body, touch my body, touch my body.
Dope. This is definitely a contender. I can hear the song and start doing the choreo right away, just as you started talking about it. It's one of the songs that launched Hyolyn into even higher stardom, you know, and she's still a queen in K-pop to this day. I think you're absolutely right that in terms of the essence of K-pop and the impact on K-pop, Sistar has not been matched, really. They had a lane, and like no one else is really doing that kind of sexy. So I think you're absolutely right. This is hugely impactful. But now, Michaela's going to come in with something a little different.
Okay, it's we have to talk about it because we didn't cover this as much in our scandals because we were saving it all for this moment right here.
now.
Because EXO guys came back this year with the song Overdose and shook everyone that year with this
I wish we could like play just the intro part while Michaela's introducing it. All the like.
I was thinking the part where they bang on each other's heads when you were talking about the shaking.
Like, because switching gears from how fun and like just silly Sistar is to how like serious and sexy
So
and
serious.
just like locked in this music video
So
is.
locked in.
Like it's
From jump.
very simple. It's really just a performance video. Like it's where they're in a box, but the way that they're shooting it in like this fake one take, and the way like in with Ururon choreography, we have all 12 members kind of coming in and out, and especially since they have two versions of this music video, like they did twice in Chinese
that?
and Korean, and like how. Sorry, hold on.
Gather yourself.
Overwhelmed.
Oh my gosh.
정신 차려. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. But like it's just how they were able to again use all 12 members in new ways and in different choreographies, like, and how iconic the choreography for this song. Like I remember everybody getting on their knees and doing
the head thing.
yeah. I don't know how you would like. It's like the drum beat head movement with your arms crossed thing. Like there were just so many iconic moments, and especially in the intro where they have all
roping.
four members
That
like
choreo.
making a pyramid and
A
like
pyramid, yes.
there's just so
Epic.
many iconic moments in the choreography, in the song, in the rollouts. I mean, it's really hard because this is the final like OT12 EXO, but it was also kind of
That's
like
right.
a almost shrine to the massiveness that was EXO at the time and what began the immediate ascent of their career until BTS comes in at the end. But at this time, EXO is the #1 boy group in K-pop. There is
On top.
no debating that, especially in 2014. So Overdose has to be my #1 song of the year.
这是 overdose too much 是你 your love 这是 overdose
Sorry, I feel like I was a little all over the place. Like there were so many like feelings and emotions that were coming
We're
in
with
at that
you.
time. I just kind of
No, it was
flowed with
very emotional because like we haven't said it on the episode yet, but like during these promotions is when the Chinese members started to leave. Like Chris left in the middle of Overdose promotions, and then it just got chaos from there. So like it is in that little piece of like this was the last time there were 12 of them, and it's such a good song. So like
And
for
it
the
was-
history, that's also so important.
And they toured right after this, and they had an incredibly successful Asia tour with this song, and they won Album of the Year twice, and Mama Awards and the Golden Disc with Overdose. So like not only was it being recognized by fans, but it was also being recognized by, the industry at that moment.
Oh man, that really takes me back. Yeah, to the days when EXO was on top, right before BTS.
Right before, but
man.
it's so funny when you go back and it's like EXO, and then BTS.
Yep.
Which is why I think of like when you think of third generation, like there's kind of phases. There was the time when it was EXO, and then the time when it was BTS. And we're still
Right.
now in that BTS. Or sorry. We're still in the BTS phase, but at this time it was EXO.
Ooh, I mean, yeah. I'm like speechless. There's the two picks are so different, and yet they just represent the range of K-pop so well. And they're both timeless classics. So thank you for, doing. I think the hardest job here was sifting through and picking one.
I feel like I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night tonight and be like, no,
And change
I
your
should have
pick.
picked something else. Like it was just that stacked of a year of just incredible releases that I still think hold up to this day and also so beautifully illustrate a time. Like the longer that you are a K-pop fan, the easier it is to like put these delineations on sounds and looks and like and trends and how things were. And I get so nostalgic for it. It was such a magical time.
So I think it's about time for us
Yeah.
to someone is cutting my mic off. I'm being interrupted.
Right.
What?
Oh,
Someone
hold on. There's a transmission coming suddenly. Oh,
Whoa.
it's from Peter. Peter Lowe,
Peter?
our DJ Peter Lowe from the K-pop cast. He's telling me, wait, no, orange caramel, guys, orange caramel.
he would say that.
We cannot finish this episode without orange caramel. Essence of K-pop.
We have a challenger, y'all. We have a hidden challenger for the #1 K-pop song of 2014.
Yes, Peter would never let us finish this episode without mentioning Orange Caramel's Catalina. Right, because Catalina is, again, if we talk about all of those points of like essence of K-pop as a release, like it's so weird and like wacky and fun and is all of the things that we love about like what makes K-pop so different from other music.
I love weird K-pop. Long live weird K-pop. I never want it to stop. And it's such a good meme. People still do the hop. Like
The
it's
intro
still
hot
good.
fan chant is iconic and has been redone so many
all
times.
their little hats, little teacup hats. Come on.
Gosh, so cute. So iconic. That's one of the things that K-pop does best, honestly. Out of anyone in the world. They do this like weird, cute, colorful concept the best.
Fully.
And wasn't
agree.
Peter saying that he plays that song at K-pop parties, at his DJ gigs to this day?
It still
and people
holds
know the
up.
choreo. People break out and smile and singing along. Like, it's a classic.
It's so
and
fun.
an underdog classic. All right, K-pop cast listeners, you heard us debate what was the best K-pop song of 2014, but now it's time for you to decide which song from this iconic year wins the championship for being the most memorable, iconic, game-changing, most essence of K-pop ever. Catch the K-pop cast poll in our Slack channel to cast your vote. Link to that in the episode description. All right, we made it.
Yes.
Yay.
Woo, we did it. So much happened that year.
And we truly barely scratched it.
Right? There's stuff on here that we did not discuss because it was just like, it was going to be too long.
Stephanie, we didn't even get to K-dramas. There's a whole other
God.
show.
There were so many good K-dramas that year too.
Are
you
my
guys.
destiny. Oh my God. Okay. You're right. Dang. We got to wrap it up though. This was so much fun. So much fun. I love our Hit Rewind episodes. I'm so
Right?
glad we're doing this. What's the first one? Did we start with?
Started in 2010.
09? No.
Oh no, yeah,
We did-
09, sorry, yeah.
Oh,
It
no,
was
well,
like
we had to
2009.
do 09. Right? Don't get me
Right.
started on 09. But that wraps it up, everybody, for this here Hit Rewind episode of 2014. First, our lovely guest, Shannon. Please let our listeners know where they can find you and your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast is called Ask Me About K-Pop. It is available everywhere that podcasts are found. You can follow us on socials at AMA K-Pop Pod. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/AMA K-Pop Pod if you want bonus content. But we love K-pop history. Our show has been on for 7 years, and we've covered so many K-pop basics that we are kind of almost exclusively a history podcast now. We do rewind episodes, but we go 20 years back because if I only went 10, the episodes would be 5 hours long because I have too much to say. And our 20-year episodes have to be 2 parts because we still have too much to say. But if that sounds good to you, check us out. We have so very many episodes. And yeah, thanks for having me. I love being here and talking about one of my favorite years of being a K-pop fan. I was relatively new at the time, like about a year or 2 in. So I was still like just really, really in it. And it was all still new and exciting and fun. And I just love reminiscing and getting nostalgic about good times.
We loved having you and can't wait to have you back for another episode. My name is Stephanie, and you can find me on Instagram at Catchlight27.
And I am your PD to Michaela, guys, and you can find me on our K-Pop Cast Slack. And I think you can find all of us on our K-Pop Cast Slack, right? Shannon, I think, are you in Slack? I don't know.
I don't think I am in the Slack. I should be, though. I use Slack for work, so I could pop
get you
over
on
there.
We will send you an invite. Post haste.
Thanks.
ASAP. All right, so if you want to talk to all of us, you want to talk to the folks who submitted songs and like chat through what is the #1 song of 2014, the Slack is where to go. Link to that in the episode description. And if you want the K-Pop Cast to keep going and you want to chip in for our editing costs, please hit up our Ko-fi. Special shout out to Lady Senza, who has a $15 subscription. Please join and contribute if you feel called. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.